This afternoon, Jendi Harbour visited Christchurch's eastern suburbs, the areas we were just talking about. Jendi, we know this area has been badly affected. The Minister hasn't been there, but you have. What was the liquefaction like? How was it out there?
It's been quite soul-destroying, actually, John, to go out to those suburbs again. We went to Brighton, to Wainoni, Avondale, Avonside. Liquefaction, a lot of flooding. Liquefaction has just bubbled up to the surface again. And just soul-destroying for those people, because, as you said earlier, a lot of them were thinking, things are starting to look a little bit better. I went to one road, exactly, one road where their portaloos had gone and the sewerage was coming back on. They just had their road not quite resealed, but certainly put new gravel on, and it was starting to look good. They're just devastated. It's just a total war zone out there again for them. One street I went to, they were extremely concerned because they'd been watching with great excitement as 2 or 3 council workers had gone underground into a sewerage system to work on it when the earthquake hit. They said that was incredibly frightening. They rushed to the hole. They said the men came up very quickly out of the hole but were just very shaken by what they'd seen. And then, John, we went to Avonside to catch up with Mark Quigley, seismologist at Canterbury University. He was with the first quake this afternoon. He was at the university, which was evacuated, so he made his way home. Now, you may recall Mark's home has been hit September, Boxing Day, February. Absolutely, the poor guy, just like so many in the city, and so he has been hit again. He was very wary this afternoon, as we saw, and you'll see the look on his face, because it's a look we saw all over the city this afternoon. It's like, not again. So many people are like, can we take this again? And anyway, we had some big questions for Mark Quigley, and we caught up with him this afternoon.
After the first earthquake, we came immediately back to our house, and we suspected that we were going to get some liquefaction here, and we had a little bit. And I just documented it. I just took a bunch of photos and made a few notes and stuff like that, because we've been sort of doing that at our property, trying to do science amidst all this chaos. And then the second earthquake hit while we were inside, and it was just absolute pandemonium. I mean, everything fell over. All the bookshelves fell over, and glass was breaking and falling in the kitchen, and my girlfriend was just clinging to me, and we would have both fallen over actually if we weren't. I was sort of grabbing on the doorway, she was holding onto me, and one of our friends was in the house hanging on to both of us, and the TV went and smashed, and everything just sort of smashed all around us. Now,
last week GNS Science released some statistics saying that there was perhaps a 23% chance of a magnitude 6 in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
We've had a 6 today.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's good science that goes into these models. I mean, these are statistical models based on aftershock activity, and aftershock forecasts into the future, integrated over a variety of different timescales. So it's the same data that goes into those, monthly forecasts for the percent chance of a magnitude 5 or greater earthquake that a lot of people are seeing. So the science is fine and good, but the thing is, geologically, the reality is that this is an area that hasn't had a lot of big earthquakes for what we think may be many thousands of years, and now the faults are all sort of going off,
People are very scared because they just seem to come one on top of each other today.
Yeah, they did, and I mean, that's not unprecedented either. I mean, we know that from historical earthquake sequences, but that time scale can be so variable, there was a magnitude 7 foreshock before the Japanese earthquake, that was just 2 days or 2.5 days before that. So, the question is, when you get an earthquake like the first one we had today, is it going to lead to something bigger? Well, most of the time it hasn't. Most of the magnitude 5s we've had in that sort of ballpark, we've had some smaller aftershocks after that, and that's what we'd expect. In this case, we had that mid 5, and then we had a 6. So I've always tried to be the glass half full sort of approach, and I still think that that's the best way for a resident to look forward. And then as a scientist, I'll decouple myself from that and just look at other historical earthquake sequences, and I really do feel that it's very analogous. So is this the end? We can't say that. We haven't been able to say that since September 4th, and so I can't say that this is the end. I would like to say that the earthquake, the series of faults are sort of unzipping themselves and propagating further and further east, and that any other earthquakes we're going to get are going to be further out in that area. But I can't say that. I can't go there because it's. I mean, when the seismic data comes out, they'll be able to look at these structures and say whether they've had big earthquakes on them in the past. And if they have, then it would be perfectly reasonable to think that that could happen again, you know, which is an unfortunate reality. I mean,
psychologically, to clean up again,
Yeah.
it's huge, isn't it?
yeah, but I mean, it's just happened right now. So it's always, you know, in that first couple of days, you just like bugger it. You know, we can't be bothered. And then a week passes, and then you maybe sort of pick your spirits up a little bit and deal with it. But you know, I suspect a lot of people would just say that's it. We'll have more aftershocks from these earthquakes. Again, we've sort of restarted the clock in the aftershock department, I suspect. I mean, well, we could feel aftershocks coming through even
So
now.
the magnitude of these will prompt aftershocks of their own sequence.
Yeah, both of these faults, I mean, we're looking at a decent-sized rupture area. We're looking at large earthquakes, so they will have their own aftershock sequence again. And,
So
you know,
do you think today's action, I mean, it's centred over around the Port Hills again, so it's that Port Hills fault, so it's part of that original fault that fractured February 22nd. That
it may be one possibility. I mean, one possibility is that the upper part of that fault broke during the magnitude 6, and now this is a slightly lower part of the fault that broke. I mean, I actually don't know. I mean, it's so preliminary to even guess, but that's one possibility. You know, it's possible that it's another fault further south. You know, I mean, all those things will get resolved in due course. I mean, that's the sort of stuff we're actually very good at doing, is locating these faults and working out the source of the earthquake energy and all these sorts of things, and whether it created a surface rupture and what sort of damage it did. You know, those are things what we can't do is crystal ball gaze.
Quickly talking to Jindy Harper. Now, you saw that water behind Mark. That is the product of liquefaction. It wasn't raining in Christchurch today. And in some of those communities, they've had that 3 times now. And the student army and all sorts of people and the locals themselves, and everyone goes in and rakes it up and shovels it up and cleans it up and gets it out of their house and starts over. But the 3rd time must be seriously starting to obviously get people down.